PopCultureZone.com is an online shop focusing on hot new comics, including exclusive and incentive variants, CGC graded comics, and tons of other inventory, including pop culture toys and other collectibles, all at low and competitive prices. PopCultureZone.com ships all over the US. And if you are buying raw comics, they offer flat rate shipping of only $4.99. That's right, $4.99. Absolute craziness, right? And there's no taxes included, excluding New Jersey. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they hold a 100% positive feedback rating with over 8,000 completed transactions for this year alone. Make sure to check out the link to their website below, as well as their eBay link, so be sure to give them a follow there as well. Props or flops, you upload your picture of the comic book. Remember, it could be a comic book that you just picked up. It could be a comic book that's at your local LCS or that's on eBay, and you send a screenshot of it, or you post a screenshot of it. It could be just a comic book that you're possibly thinking about buying or investing in, and you can just upload a stock image of it. Tell us why you just picked this up or why you're interested in picking it up. And leave the hashtag props or flops. Make sure you tag me, journos_comics, and Comic Book Canon, and we will break down the market live on our show and give it props or flops based on investment value. So remember, this is a focus on, not because you love the book, you just want to spend that type of money because you love it. You want it to complete a run. This is, I'm looking to buy this for investment reasons, speculative reasons, short-term, long-term, etc. So again, I want to reiterate, make sure you tag us because those Instagram hashtags are just getting worse and worse. But
they really are. We apologize for missing any fresh from the comic shops. We do our best to try and find that. It really helps us out when you do tag us. So please tag Journos, tag Comic Book Canon. We will be sure to find them.
Yep.
All right, we got two good ones.
Yeah, so for this week, we only have two, and one of them wasn't under the hashtag. So if anybody submitted and used the hashtag, I'm so sorry, but I couldn't find them. So I was lucky to find the one because somebody tagged me in it. But yeah, so we only have two this week, but there's some awesome books. So
I'm excited for this first one. Go for it, Chris.
All right, guys. The first one is DC doing their thing with Omega Man #3, the first appearance of Lobo.
How about I find this? I'm going to read it because we got this late here. So keep talking. Sorry. I'll read
the Yep. Mr. Harley Collects Comics submits 2 copies of Omega Man #3, stating YouTuber Chris, that's me, Journos Comics, put out a video stating that speculation is before anything is announced. I just want to add context. What he meant by that was, for me, when you speculate on something, you want to speculate before, there is an announcement or a casting, because then it's like, you miss the bus and you're not really speculating because we already know that this is happening and everyone's trying to go buy the book, right? So they state that Chris was talking about how speculation should happen before anything is announced. I've taken that into my collecting, investing, speculation strategy. I got these nice high-grade copies of Omega Man #3, the first appearance of Lobo, from my LCS Acme Superstore. Shout out to Acme Superstore. And the always awesome Big Red Comics OC. All right, Big Red. Even if my speculation does flop, I've enjoyed learning more about this crazy interstellar bounty hunter named Lobo. Okay, so this is why I always tell you guys, you don't have to. I know people are, maybe more private about what they spend on their comics, but it helps me come to a decision of a props or flops if I know what you spend. So, for example, this book right here, in a high grade, you're looking at anywhere for what it's been selling on the market over the last, if you look at the last, I guess for this last year, 2022, you're looking at, a book that easily has been selling for over $100 in this near mint range, anywhere from really from 100 to 120. And we recently got a sale of a raw book for $215 in a high near mint. That's a bit of an outlier, right? There was one other or two others that sold for above 250 back at the peak of the market in spring of 2021. I consider those outliers too, because if you look at everything around that time, the book wasn't even hitting over $100 yet. So you got a sale of 250 and 300, but between those months and after those months, 77, $100, 86, 70, 65, 75, 98. So to me, this book has never really been worth over $200 when you're looking at, oh, this could be a 9.8 potential. So I don't know if this individual paid $50 for these books, $100 for these books, or $200 for these books. I think overall, though, right now, this book is a props. And I've been saying this for years. I think Lobo was one of those DC characters that has been undervalued. And I don't use undervalued term a lot. I think that the value of this book can continue to increase because, one, I do think he's an iconic kind of, cult following type of character, similar to a Wolverine, similar to a Punisher in his own right, though. Okay. I do believe that they could do something really awesome with this character in live action, the DCU, et cetera, but that's not even why I feel this character is undervalued. I just think for those true, I don't mean true. I mean those that actually collect comics that don't really care about the movies or the TV shows. They want to value the comic books. There's a lot of intrinsic future value there for these characters, for sure, or for this character, excuse me. So overall, I give this book a props. But if you overpaid fair market value, it's going to be a flops all day long, really for most books. So that's why I always say you gotta do your homework. You gotta educate yourself. Right now, again, let me reiterate the numbers in high grades raw real quick over the last couple of months here. Okay, we could go back to June with the sale that sold for 113. Okay, but then we had another high grade sell for in the 70s in October, and then 95 in October on October 6th. But then just 2 weeks ago, a high grade raw sold for 215. If you paid over $125 for this book, even if you think it's a 9.8 potential, I think you absolutely overpaid. Whoever paid $215 for this book, that would be, that's just crazy. That's crazy. You got ripped off, in my humble opinion, because no raw book is even guaranteed a 9.8. But the silver lining in this is one of those books where even if you overpay by a little bit, not $215 or that $300 sale that happened last year, even if you overpay a little bit, I do have a feeling this is a book that in a few years from now, in 5 years from now, the value is going to catch up to what you paid, right? But then, Jeff, we have this talk, all this Lobo talk going around. So that's where you guys got to be careful. I know, what's his name? Momoa was asked about the character and bringing the character to life and all this stuff. So be very careful with that. Guys, this is a really solid first appearance that I think has a lot of potential, but don't overpay. Don't get into the FOMO just because one actor was talking about bringing this into live action. And now, we're going to start seeing this book shoot up from $200 to $250 to $300 because it's just not really organically done. Be careful. But Mr. Harley, I believe was the tag name. If you want to let me know what you pay for these books, I could give you kind of, my 2 cents, but I gave it to you here. So maybe you could take that and say, okay, well, I paid X amount. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely giving this a props all day long. I think James Gunn actually tweeted about it or put it on his Instagram too. So there's something, I don't know. The people then it all started this whole hubbub. Can Jason Momoa play two characters in the DCU? Who knows? Anyways, this is a character that should get his due. He was in a show called Krypton a few years ago, which was actually a decent show, and I thought they did a great job with him because he's kind of DC's Deadpool in a way. He's out there. He is completely out there. So I'm all about this character, and I agree 100% props. Don't overpay for it. Yes, Jason Momoa he'd be perfect to play. Too bad he's Aquaman, so I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, but we got a lot of comments on this. We got Spider Dude, definitely 80s or less is a props. T-Shoe, same thing, 80 or less. Sure, it's a fine spec. We got Raising Elm saying it's a props. I'm not sure what T-Shoe is saying here, though. Beast wannabe Lobo's a no-no. He's nothing like the Beast. Nothing. Caleb Leland, a.k.a. Cable Leland, he says props all day long as well. So again, I'm liking how people are thinking here. Most everybody is props on this. Myself and Chris as well. Get this book. Don't overpay for it. But I hope he has a future within the DCEU. He'll be different than any character they put out there so far. So, Raw Dog, props. Since no Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello can play Lobo. I mean, sure. I would like to still see him as Deathstroke, so let's hope.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Chris, you have another good one. What is it?
All right, folks. We have some Spidey goodness. I'm always down for some Spidey goodness. Let's see if this will get some props action. We got Spider-Man number 10. This is from the 2014 run. And it is a 1 in 25 Delato incentive variant, and it's a CGC 9.6. This is the first appearance of Hobby Brown, aka Spider-Punk. This is from Into Oblivion. Thank you, Into Oblivion, for this awesome submission. Really love that cover, of course. Delato doing amazing things as he always does. Scored another for the PC. Into Oblivion says Amazing Spider-Man number 10. It was released in 2015, January, I believe. First appearance of Hobart Hobie Brown, aka the Anarchic Spider-Man, aka Spider-Punk. That's Spider-Man Earth 138. CGC 9.6, 125. Total on CGC census 232. 9.6s 22 and 9.8s 192. Now we do have that Daniel Kaluuya is going to voice Spider-Punk for the upcoming Across the Spider-Verse animated film. That's pretty awesome. I can't wait to see that pan out. Can't wait to see that film. A lot going on here with the possibilities of this book. So here's another thing, Into Oblivion. I don't know what you paid for this book. I don't know what you paid for this book, and it really, really skews my ability to give this a props or flops. But what we're going to do is we're just going to look at what this book has been doing. Okay. In a 9.6, there's only been four sales documented here over the last about year and a half. Okay. Going back to May of 2021, kind of at that peak of that market, right? May, June, 164 in May. And this is the incentive variant here that I'm talking about. In June, we had a sale for 148. Now, Jeff, I don't know if you remember, when was the announcement of Across the Spider-Verse?
It was over the summer. I can't specifically remember when.
Yeah, and I wonder when we knew that Spider-Punk would be involved. I think it was later, right?
They said that there would be 200 characters when they made the announcement.
Right. So, and I know this is an Edge of Spider-Verse tie-in. So there could have been just people buying everything Edge of Spider-Verse back then. But get this, nothing else sold in a 9.6 after that. And then when we got more of that, not even just speculation, but knowing that Spider-Punk was going to be in the film, another one sells for the lowest of 152. Then when we get the casting just this last week, one sells for 300.
Damn.
Yeah. So, but let's look at this here. You had 9.8s of this book, though, selling for, and see, this is, if you look at the 9.8s, I think that we got the announcement for Spider-Punk this year. Because and what did Into Oblivion say? There's only 22 9.6 on the census, right? So that's probably why we only have 4 sales. There's quite a few more 9.8s. And this book was selling for in a 9.8 in 2021 at the peak of the market for anywhere from, an average of 300 to 450 average range. But then in December of 2021, maybe that's when we learned, I don't know, you guys could go do your research. These 9.8 spiked up to $800, $610, $710, $700, $750, $750. So $790 all through the spring of 2022. But then they dropped back down again to 400 and something, 400, 400, 400 range, 400 range, 600, 600, 300 and something, 400 and something, 545, 560 just this last week. So kind of all over the place, So very, very interesting when we are indeed looking at the graded units. My advice on this, well, props for flops, Chris. Oh, man. I'm going to give this book a flops. And my reason being is, for one, I don't know what you paid. I mean, if you came out and paid $100 for this book, maybe even a little more, I don't know. Maybe I would give you a props just because I don't think you risked that much. We got to understand that not every character is going to be Miles. Not every character is going to be Gwen. Not every character even is going to be Miguel. And I know that Into the Spider-Verse was such a classic now. I mean, what it did, and I know we're all looking forward to this film. And I do have trust that all these other characters are going to come in and they're going to be awesome. But what type of role are they going to play? And how much is this book going to hold? How much is this book, because of this character, going to hold? And then again, what really concerns me is that you got to be very careful with incentive variance. You really do. I mean, if you look at the 9.8s and 9.6 for the cover A, I mean, they are following a similar trend. But remember, you got a couple of things going on here. You got a market peaking last year. You have announcements where speculation on this book peaked as well. And due to whether it be just the attention being pulled away from this book or the economy doing what it is and the market doing what it's been doing this year, you had prices kind of dropping. But now you have prices kind of going up again because we got a casting. We know how this works. So I got to give it a props because I think there's a lot of volatility in this book.
You're giving it flops or a props?
Excuse me, flops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a flops because there's a lot of volatility in this book. I think that Spider-Punk will always be kind of a cool character that we'll always be able to refer back to. I just don't think they're going to be around a long time in these animated films. I don't think he's going to have much of a presence in the comic books. So I do see this book dropping, cover A, cover B, incentive variance, whatever it is. I don't ever think it's going to be a book that's worthless, but I think it can be a 9.6 that holds a $100 value. I think it could be a 9.8 that holds above a $200 value, possibly, but there's just too much unforeseen possibilities and too much volatility for me to give this a props unless I know that you paid freaking dirt cheap for this book.
Yeah. Before I give my opinion, let's get to some of the audience here. Caleb Leland, I'll give it a props. He's a cool character. Brendan Riley, I say flops. I love Delato art, but for a modern book, there'll be 9.8s out there, and Spider-Punk will pop short term around the flick, but crater pretty quickly. Cover A would do slightly better. Tishu way too new, way overpriced. We got issues. Delado's a props for me. And Captain America, he had a comment similar to this last week. For me, if it ain't a 9.8 for modern, it's a LeBron.
I love it. I love the LeBron.
Yeah, he always is throwing up.
I got to change the Deadpool image to a LeBron image.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. The Spider Dude here. Flops for now. Let's see what they do in the MCU with him. I don't. Okay.
Sony will ruin him.
Here's the deal. For my opinion, I'm going to flat out say it. I think it's a flops too. I don't think there's much substance behind this character. Yes, this character has his own series. It's a limited series. Yes, he will be in a film. I completely agree with what Brendan Riley says, that it'll pop when the movie comes out, but it'll just kind of plummet from there. I mean, if you can get this book for a reasonable price, sure. But in terms of like spending what you were saying, I mean, it was up at $800 at one point for 9.8. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, there's going to be 200 characters in this film. How much are they going to concentrate on Spider-Punk? Granted, Daniel Kaluuya he's a big name actor. He's done a lot of stuff. He was in Nope recently, I do believe.
Yep.
Obviously he was in the first Black Panther. So, but God, it's really hard for me to give it anything else but a flops. And actually, I only have one other option, that would be a props, and I can't do that. So that right there, people, ends props or flops for this week. Don't forget to submit next week. We love your guys' kind of engagement with this as well. Chris, one more time, how do they do this?
Yeah, guys, I mean, get them in. We'll break it down. Get involved in the show. Props or flops. Use that hashtag. Make sure you tag me as well, because hashtags suck. Tag Comic Book Canon as well. Upload any comic to IG, whether you just bought it, whether you're looking to buy it, whether you're on the hunt, whatever it may be. Give us some details to why. Remember, and if you do buy it and you're willing to share that price, let us know what you paid, because we will break down the market and give you our honest opinion, props or flops.